Sister assumes my parents and I will watch her kids. Heck nah. Heck nah. My older sister is quite the character, for a lack of better words. She's 30 and I'm 23, so we usually stay in our own circles. Well, she revealed to me that she's late on her period, and I mentioned it's probably the vaccine. It threw me off about 2 weeks too. Well, apparently my sister and her boyfriend weren't using protection. Facepalm. I tell her to go buy a stick to pee on, and she's been in a bad mood. It culminates when I'm trying to eat dinner when she asks my parents if they'll take care of her kids, because daycare is like $800 a month. My parents say if it's an emergency, but they won't have the time to consistently babysit. Cute tantrum about how they're already crappy grandparents to their grandkid. My parents say they have their own lives, and so will she as a new mother. My sister turns to bargaining and offers my parents to pick her kid's name if they babysit it. My parents smile and say, nope. My sister then turns to me and asks if I want to name her kid. As much as I love certain names, no. Again, a tantrum about how I'm a crappy aunt and I work from home. I point out she's working from home too, and she said it isn't the same. She says she'll drop it off with me when no one is there, and my mom points out how shameful her immaturity is. My mom says if she doesn't want to be nice, she doesn't have to eat her homemade tamales. My sister dropped it for now. TLDR. So yeah, my sister may be pregnant, but I will not be the de facto babysitter. My dearly deceased grandmother was a nurse for many years. She saw many women come into her hospital who had been butchered by illegal abortions. It traumatized her and made her a militant feminist and Planned Parenthood supporter. My parents got married young and, much to my grandmother's horror, had 5 kids in 7 years, including a set of twins which they could not afford. When my mother asked my grandmother if she'd help with childcare so my mom could get a job, my grandmother said, I will not babysit your kids so you can work. If you need to do errands or something else, that's fine. But you chose to have children when birth control was available, so you'll have to figure it out on your own. Go, Grandma, go. Dang, your grandma was so cool. I wish I could have met her. A coworker of mine is in her 60s and lives with her daughter, son-in-law, and their 2 kids, a 5-year-old boy and about a year-old girl. She's the de facto babysitter whenever she's not at work. She complains all the time about trying to wrangle 2 small children on her own, and the boy can be especially bratty sometimes, like getting out of bed at 11 p.m., going down to grandma's room and demanding a bedtime story right then, or else he pitches a fit. She doesn't help things by giving in and doing what he wants. Our job doesn't pay great. Both the parents work. I'm not sure if they legitimately need the money from her job. I'm suspicious the only reason she hasn't retired is because our workplace provides an escape and socialization outside her own family. Our job isn't easy physically either, and she sustained a foot injury last year that gives her difficulty on a daily basis. Job involves a lot of walking or being on your feet daily. Lifting, bending, overall can be harder for an older person, and I really expected her to retire after the injury happened, but nope. She was injured last year and off for a couple months where she was supposed to rest, spend a lot of time sitting to let the foot heal. But when she came back, she was complaining about having to get up to tend to the kids. So even when she was hurt and in pain, the daughter and her husband dumped the kids on her. Imagine being in your 60s with chronic pain and choosing to continue working just to get away from the kids your adult children produced. The bingo, who will take care of you when you are old, is BS. Many kids will drain your last dollar and bit of energy for themselves. I feel so bad for that woman, but it's not uncommon for parents to take advantage of family. Even the old and sick are to be used to their advantage. When we, boyfriend and I, die, our assets, though not a lot, will go to charity, not greedy children, and that pleases me. Regarding, she says she will drop it off with me when no one is there. Time to keep your door locked at all times. Once that kid arrives, don't open for anyone unless you know who's behind it. We have door stops that go under the doorknob, so there's no way to force yourself in. She's been asking me about abortion recently, and living in Texas, I sent her links to groups to help. She mentioned it's only 2 weeks late so far, so she won't know for certain. Just like, how hard is it to wrap it or get on some method of birth control? If she's in Texas, she should really hurry with her decision. She could already be too late to get one. FYI to all, the Texas heartbeat bill or abortion ban is not going into effect until September. As of now, you can still get an abortion in Texas. I doubt it'll end up being enforced. It'll be struck down as unconstitutional like all the others. It will be put on hold until it works its way through the courts. With the current makeup of SCOTUS, it's not guaranteed it will be struck down as unconstitutional. I have an aunt whose house is basically a kindergarten because she doesn't know how to say no to my cousins dumping their kids at her house all the time, some for weeks at a time. The kids regularly break things, leave everything dirty, and of course none of them ever pay my aunt anything, and it's frustrating to watch. It's annoying how family will think you're obligated and will guilt you to watching their, not regrets, rugrats, because you are their aunt, grandparent, or whatever relative. It's good you and your parents didn't let her guilt trip you when she was the one who was responsible. Hopefully she isn't pregnant and get on some form of birth control ASAP. Poor auntie. I used to be walked all over and it's no fun. Thank God I learned to stand up for myself working retail, but I understand her not wanting to say no to family. I hope she learns as well. I find selfishness incredibly enjoyable and I wouldn't trade my quiet, somewhat carefree life for any kid. Man, that's the point where you flat out tell her, if you drop this kid off at my house randomly and without consent, I'm calling the cops about you abandoning your child. See how willing she is to cross boundaries then. I love reading random Reddit stories where this storyline plays out. Quote unquote, your stupidity, your responsibility. No one owes her childcare. And tell her if she tries ditching it on you unannounced, you'll call CPS on her. End of story. Heck, she wants to talk about her parents already being bad grandparents. She doesn't even know for sure that she's pregnant yet, and she's already being an irresponsible, negligent, and entitled parent. Yeah, she's quite the person. Honestly, my parents flat out told me they wished I weren't child-free because I'm the more reliable of the two of us. Her boyfriend works and she says she doesn't want to impose on him. And my dad told her, but it's okay to impose on your own family? If she tries that, immediately call the Child Protective Services and or the police. That is grounds for child neglect. On top of that, how disrespectful of her to do that just because she was told no. Your mom was correct. Her attitude is very shameful. I don't think neither of your parents nor you should take that threat lightly. If she really wants the kid, that's 1000% on her, and she has to own up to it. If she tries dumping the kid on you, even if you're home, straight up tell her you'll phone the cops and tell them she's trying to neglect her baby. We got security cameras, so it's going to be dumb as heck if she drops off the kid while I'm working from home. My parents already told her she needs to look for an apartment or home because they will not deal with that crying baby. I'm very glad you're all taking the right steps to keep her from dumping her baby off. Hopefully she can clean up her act and be a good mother, and none of what I said happens. Regarding quote unquote, she says she will drop it off with me when no one is there. Hello, 911, somebody dropped off a kid at my house. It's not mine though, if it happens. The fact that people like her are allowed to have kids is astounding. She's barely pregnant and already scheming on how to pawn her kids off onto others, and for free? Talk about use and abuse. I know, right? Apparently everyone is already quote-unquote crappy too, but only after they refuse to babysit her kid who isn't even born yet? Why try to pawn off your kid to quote-unquote crappy people then? Rolling my eyes. On another note, I also guess that the lurking pro-breeders who read this thread won't have anything to say about this type of behavior in their back alley chit-chats when they whine about child-free folks, or this sub either. Nice to see your mom not falling for your sister's BS. Jesus, your sister sounds about 12, not 30. I like your parents though. I see two really positive things in your situation. Number one, your parents and you have the same vision about it. Number two, tamales. Hopefully everything sorts out. Yes, we had some tamales, Spanish rice, homemade beans, and homemade tortillas. Like a way to ruin a great meal. My mom was so done and told her if she won't act like an adult, she doesn't have to eat her homemade cooking. Quote, she says she will drop it off with me when no one is there, end quote. What the heck? Call the cops if she does that crap. You told her no once. You should have absolutely no need to repeat yourself. If she actually pulls that crap, call CPS. I give zero sucks about how badly your family may react to that. That's freaking stupid. Your sister needs to be put in a mental home or get an abortion. She shouldn't be allowed to breed. First, congrats on your parents. They sound awesome. Second, be wary, this is not over. If I were in your shoes, I'd get sis to sit down at a table and set her head straight. Tell her in no uncertain terms that if she is to have this child, she and she alone will take care of it. There is no financial help to get from you, no babysitting because daycare is expensive, nothing. You may decide to help out in emergencies, you will buy birthday gifts in a reasonable price range, but that is it. She should now plan to afford and care for this child on her own, and think long and hard if she can, because you ain't jumping hoops here. Make it very, very clear you are ready to cut her off if she gets pushy. You will call the police if she leaves the kid and you don't care about her feelings on that. And ask her to tell you she understands that she cannot count on your help before ending the conversation. That way you can be 1000% certain you got through her dense skull, the ground you stand on, and destroyed any false hope. Because she already says she plans on dumping her kid. She doesn't want to deal with the kid, and if I were you, I'd drop everything right now to make sure she knows she can't count on you to avoid future drama.